Coming up this weekend, the main event. We're talking about two of the best featherweights that are out there right now. Max Holloway taking on Arnold Allen. As always, one half your host duo, Craig Allen. Twitter and Instagram at Craig Allen FNP. With me to my left, to your right, Matt Allen. Respective socials, Matt Allen FNP. We make it easy, just like last weekend. Look at that. You never thought. Just a cheap old Kelvin Gastelum UFC shirt. I'm breaking it out. We had a crazy win for a guy coming back. And in this weekend's main event, Matt, when you look at this matchup between Holloway and Arnold Allen, Max Holloway definitely needs one of those crazy comeback, get on the horse type wins, because his last time out against Alexander Volkanovski, 3 fights. How'd the first fight go, Matt? Really quick. Cole's
really
notes.
close.
Really close.
But Volkanovski won the first fight.
Second fight. What'd you think?
Close. I thought Holloway won the second one.
Third fight, 50-45 out there. Or maybe a 49-46. But Alexander Volkanovski was able to go out there and put on a masterclass, and he's just able to continue that role at 145. So when you look at this matchup, Matt, between these two guys, a lot to say about the matchup, and just so glad that you could join us on this one. If you haven't subscribed already, you definitely should. You can toss us a like. It's appreciated. But when you look at this one, Matt, Arnold Allen's had that gradual rise up. He's really dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. I know it was much talked about, the hand injury after the Nick Lentz fight, but hand injuries as they've gone on, even after the Calvin Kattar fight. And obviously it's disappointing the way the Kattar fight ended, because Kattar at the end of the first round goes for a flying knee, lands awkwardly, and falls on his leg. Second round starts off, and he takes a leg kick and then falls down. The fight's over. But Arnold Allen, you can see such a progression in his boxing as this thing's gone on. He hasn't lost in years and years and years. 2014 was the last loss against Marcin Rudzek that was on The Ultimate Fighter Season 22. But when you look at it in this one, Matt, obviously Allen's facing kind of a similar test to his last fight. Calvin Kattar boxing on the outside. Obviously, we know what Holloway did against Kattar, so it's not a fair comparison.
He fights like a tsunami. Like, it's terrifying. Max Holloway, I think, as an opponent, is a more scary opponent to fight than Francis Ngannou, because, yes, Francis is terrifying. If he hits you one time, it's over. But at least it's over after that one time. When you fight Max Holloway, it's like you're being tortured for 25 minutes. Like, it's terrible. I couldn't imagine how Calvin Kattar felt those last 5 minutes of that fight. Like, when Holloway is really in his flow and really being able to land his boxing combinations, there's not anything anybody in the UFC can do. Now, Volkanovski was able to make it kind of an IQ test more than just a boxing match, because Volkanovski is that smart. He got in the pocket and figured out, okay, Max might be a better just 1 and 2 boxer than me, but I have faster hands than him. So if I make this fight about a hand speed fight and not about just boxing, I can win this fight. And that's why he looks so good. You could tell the second he figured that out, oh, my hands are faster than his, he crashed the distance, got on the inside, didn't even use the outside kicks as much, which has given him so much success in their first 10 rounds. It's just he knew he had that much success. But I have a big hot take about Arnold Allen. And people don't come here for hot takes, but this is what I have. There's a great baseball YouTube channel out there called Foolish Baseball, and years ago we had one, and it was that Andrelton Simmons is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, Andrelton Simmons fell off a cliff shortly after that video came out.
He's a free agent right now, and if the Pirates need a replacement for O'Neal Cruz, maybe he'll be the next man up.
He's not, but the guy isn't playing right now, and they thought he was going to be one of the all-time greats.
33.
The point is, I actually think Arnold Allen is the most difficult matchup in this division for Alexander Volkanovski. I genuinely believe that. Now, I thought for the longest time Josh Emmett was going to be the person to beat Max Holloway. Like, do you ever have fighters in the division where you think, okay, they might not get to the title, but if they ever do, everything they do well is just a good counter to what the champion has. I do think Arnold Allen's a bit of a difficult matchup for a guy like Volkanovski, because if Volkanovski does try to make it about hand speed, about that kind of inside game, Arnold Allen can play that inside game, and he has quite a bit of power. And the good thing about Allen is he doesn't get hit clean that often. I know you're going to say, oh, Matt, he got hit clean by Dan Hooker that one time. Yeah, after he had dropped him about 6 times, he got crazy reckless because the fight was basically over. For the most part, Arnold Allen does do a great job defensively, but that's what this fight's going to come down to, because if Holloway has any success in the first round, we'll have more in the second, more in the third, more in the fourth, more in the fifth. You know how Max Holloway fights. But if Allen can just be sound enough defensively and land his own power shots in those earlier rounds, I do think he can bank enough to make this fight competitive down the stretch. I just don't know how many more Holloway kind of all-time blitzes we're going to be able to see, because the Calvin Kattar fight itself it's so memorable because it was a surprise. You know, like, nobody thought Max Holloway was going to be able to come back and kind of look as good as he ever did. But for Holloway, I just wonder how many more times he's going to be able to have those types of performances performances.
Yeah, and that was after 2 losses to Alexander Volkanovski that he looked so good. So for Max Holloway, obviously we know how good the career is. And we know the fact that he features so high up in UFC significant strikes all time. I mean, it's 2,975. That's number one. Number two, 1,801 by Frankie Edgar. And when it comes to total strikes, 3,217. GSP.
He also set a record for most significant strikes that broke his own record.
2,591 is GSP. And also for Max Holloway, third all-time in total fight time, 6 hours, 50 minutes and 47 seconds. Max Holloway in the UFC is 19-7. He's had 3 fights against Southpaws, and if you follow me on Twitter and you eat crayons, you think, oh, well, Arnold Allen's going to win this fight because of what Craig said. Max Holloway's 0-3 against UFC Southpaws. And who did he fight, Craig? Give it away. Dustin Poirier twice and Conor McGregor once. So, again, the Dustin Poirier fight at the start, a well-rounded fight. The fight against Conor McGregor at the start, McGregor mixed in takedowns, fought a well-rounded fight.
But also, that fight was 10 years ago. You can't take a lot from it.
The second Dustin Poirier fight, obviously it's up a weight class where the commentary's saying, even before the fight and as it's starting, this is Max Holloway's natural division. This is where we're going to see Max Holloway. What did Dustin Poirier do in the first round that Arnold Allen does exactly to a T? Philly shell defense, wait, throw counters and throw hooks.
The difference is, though, Arnold Allen can't throw at the range. Like, Poirier can close the distance with punches from really far away. Allen has to set his feet a lot more for that, I think, is the difference. I don't disagree with your point. I think it's a very good point to bring out. I just think for Allen, I don't know if he's going to be able to hurt Holloway the same way Poirier was, because Poirier is like an all-time great power puncher, where Arnold Allen has good punching power. I just don't know if he's on that kind of list.
No, and you kind of took a knife and shoved it into my heart, because last night all I did was watch boxing videos on defense. But when I look at a guy like Arnold Allen, drops the lead hand, brings it up, defends really well, he's able to parry and counter, like the show that we have here in Fight Night Picks, and that's how he's able to land. That's what he did to Calvin Kattar. That's what he did against Sadiq Yusuff when he had his great exchanges. He's a southpaw that fights in a similar way to a guy who has 2 wins over Max Holloway at this current juncture, and I'm sure he's watching those Poirier fights trying to gain little bits and pieces. Now, for Holloway in the fights against Poirier, especially the second one that I'm going to focus in on, and I know it's upper weight class against one of the best boxers that you're going to find in MMA. Hold on. Maybe Arnold Allen's going to be there. I don't know that yet. But in that one, Poirier rocked him in the first round. Poirier rocked him in the second round. Set the tone from the start. And out of his power, it limited the volume and the ability for Holloway to throw counters. Not a lot of kicks in that fight. Arnold Allen's not a very kick-heavy type of fighter either. The thing that scares me...
He has insane leg kicks, though.
He has good leg kicks. He doesn't just throw a ton of kicks. Like, boxing is at the forefront of Arnold Allen's game, is what I'm getting at. But when I look at Arnold Allen... His last fight was his first 5-round fight, and we saw a round and 15 seconds to the Kattar injury. This is his second 5-round fight. Max Holloway's the cardio king. Max Holloway keeps the 5-round pace.
He is the cardio king.
He is the cardio king. Throw that hat on him. I don't know how Arnold Allen's going to make out, and that was a big point that I had against Kattar, because even just a few fights ago against Sadiq Yusuff, he was completely done in the UFC's apex at the end of that 3rd round, to where there was a shot that Sadiq Yusuff had a win, or at least somewhat so. So Allen's been brought up. He's had these continually better fights. He was able to rally in that fight against Sadiq Yusuff. Went through and going back.
And he was looking good against Kattar before the ultimate injury, too.
He won that first round.
Yeah, it's not like he was getting his ass whooped for 4 minutes and then an injury just so happened. Like, he did look very strong earlier on in that fight. And that's what I do like about Allen. Does he ever just look like he's stagnant in his progress? No, it does seem like he does add a very major component to his game time in and time out. And if we continue to see that, like, he's only 29. If he beats Max Holloway, I don't know what is next for him, but you'd have to assume a title shot. Like, only the best of things happen in your career if you could beat a guy like Max Holloway, because he is an all-time great, and he still probably is in his prime. I'm just curious, how much of that prime does he have left? Because the thing about Holloway is, you look, only 31 years old. He was in the UFC in his early 20s, though, and he's been fighting in a lot of 5-round fights, a lot of miles on him at this point. So I do worry about the miles on Max Holloway, but I still rely a lot on his skills. We saw him fight Yair Rodriguez, who is going to be fighting for a title in what should be an amazing fight against Alexander Volkanovski. And yes, he faced a little bit of adversity against Yair Rodriguez, but it was still, for the most part, the old Max Holloway that we all know.
And the funny thing is, and that's why I switched this camera, because again, I'm talking to you out there. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you don't get the same experience, but I'm talking to you right now. Fight fans are really fickle, fight up, fight down. And when you look at Holloway's last time out against Volkanovski, he got beat really soundly. You might buy low there. Arnold Allen looked amazing his last time out. I'm going to make a comparison. Arnold Allen's done something that I like out of fighters. Give me that glimpse. Show me that fight camp. On Arnold Allen's YouTube page, he's starting to use it more. He's giving you the behind the scenes. Like Adrian Yanez did last time out when he fought Rob Font. There were so many chronicles of his fight camp, getting ready for it. And obviously, Yanez has been kind of all over Twitter and apologetic. It's not your fault, man. You lost the fight. Like, don't be that hard on yourself. Arnold Allen, same thing over on his YouTube. Getting ready, eating right, training, lifting weights.
He's in insane shape, to be fair. Like, Arnold Allen is yoked up.
Yeah, and he's lifting lighter weights, but you could tell he's doing like lightweight, high rep, trying to get that, cardio and that muscle expenditure in there. So he's got lactic acid levels like he's Randy Couture. But when you look at it for Arnold Allen, his dad's in incredible shape. I wouldn't want to fight that guy.
He's got some help, though, to be fair, that Arnold Allen doesn't have.
He's as red as my sweater. But Arnold Allen's dad, I love to see that guy on camera. And for Allen, he didn't want to tire his legs out, so we'll see how that goes for him. But when you look at a matchup like this, Matt, you have an all-time great against a great up-and-comer. Obviously, he shares the nickname with us, and he's a part of the Commonwealth, so you kind of have to blur the lines.
But Max Holloway's also Canada's favorite fighter.
The 10th Island is Toronto. Yeah,
years now.
Max Holloway's 2-0 in Toronto. He fought there against Brian Ortega.
And
the Frank Yeager. Yeah, the Anthony Pettis
fight. Edmonton for Frank Yeager. So there you go. He's fought Canada 4 times because he fought Charles Oliveira in Saskatoon, of all places.
It's wild.
Max Holloway, honorary Canadian.
A Canadian legend. So when you look at it again, the Southpaw lineage for Holloway hasn't been able to beat one yet. And you might go, well, Craig, Will Chope was a switch fighter. Will Chope was an orthodox fighter in that fight. And you go, well, Craig, Brian Ortega fights Southpaw all the time. He didn't fight Southpaw in the fight against Max Holloway, if you go back and watch it. The votes on this one in our YouTube community tab,
very close.
941 of them, 55% Holloway, 45% Arnold Allen. Big money, I'm going to say. Allen, 10-0 in the UFC, so slept on. I don't know who's sleeping on him now.
Well, he's not of the level of some of the other big names, because the big names in the featherweight division are Josh Emmett, Yair Rodriguez, not Anthony Pettis.
Hold on.
Volkanovski. They're big
Are people
guys.
lining up to buy Kelvin Gastelum shirts and Josh Emmett shirts?
Josh Emmett's main event at multiple fight nights, and he's been in multiple fight of the year contenders. So yeah, I'd say Josh Emmett's a big name. Arnold Allen is starting that journey.
Chuz says on our YouTube, can't wait. I'm going to be there in KC for my first event. First loss, Arnold Allen evolves so much fight by fight. Would not be surprised if he knocks out Max. And I'll go with one more. Ronnie Perez. Max should never have taken this fight. That's the one thing that I don't understand out of our YouTube community and out of the people on Twitter. They're either Arnold Allen's gained so much he's going to knock Max out, or Max never should have taken this fight. It's stupid of him for him to take a fight against Arnold Allen. You got to fight who they give you at this point.
But you don't if you're Max. I'm going to push. You're Max Holloway. You don't have to fight Arnold Allen. You can move up to lightweight and fight anybody, and it's a money fight. You can fight just big names in this division. Max Holloway's a guy who doesn't have to fight whoever the UFC gives him. He's one of the greatest fighters ever.
Do you think he wins this fight coming up this weekend?
I do. I think I've been really high on Arnold Allen. You guys know that if you've watched any of our videos in the past. I feel like I picked him in every single one of his fights as of late. But I just think Max Holloway, he gets stronger as the fight goes on, unless you can put an absurd amount of damage on him. And Dustin Poirier has knocked out Justin Gaethje, has hurt Max Holloway.
Had those Eddie Alvarez fights?
Yeah, he has some of the greatest punching power we've ever seen. Although Arnold Allen is a primary boxer from the southpaw position, I do not think he is a one-of-one outlier like a Poirier. And for those reasons, I think Arnold Allen can make a great account of himself. I mentioned the leg kicks for a reason. I think those will be very important to try to slow down some of that movement of Holloway. But at the end of the day, I do have Max plus Holloway.
Yeah, the funny thing about Holloway's fight when he did fight Will Chope is that his boxing was carrying to the win, and I know that was Chope's only fight in the UFC. The thing that I liked out of Holloway in that one, he two-hand up, faked the takedown, and then lands some more combinations out of it. So for Holloway in a matchup like this, Poirier can keep it on a level, even though he might look a little tired. He still has it in the chamber.
3 seconds in.
I haven't seen Arnold Allen in a 5-round atmosphere other than that fight against Calvin Kattar. Allen's looked amazing in these last 2 fights. I didn't necessarily love it against Sadiq Youssef. Against Nick Lentz, I thought he looked great. He defended all those takedowns.
Youssef's a really good fighter. You're not going to win every round against him. You're going to get tired trying to beat a guy like Sadiq Youssef. He's really good.
I will say this. The one thing that I'm eager to see out of Arnold Allen in this matchup, this could be an X factor. We've talked leg kicks the whole darn time. Arnold Allen against old Gilbert Melendez. I know Gilbert was a Strikeforce champ, and he was able to get to the top of that mountain, a 209 original. Arnold Allen with his leg kicks in that fight was disgusting. And against a guy like Max Holloway, who leans in on his lead leg, it's out there to be hit. Now, usually he counters off the boxing on that one, but watch out for that in this matchup. So both of us in the matchup, I'm going with Max Holloway as well. I like the boxing and the striking on the outside. I like the 5-round cardio. If Arnold Allen pulls out a win, it's not going to surprise Fight Night Picks, but you guys are doing a great job here with the channel. The subscriptions were up last week. The likes were up last week. We're really eager to move forward. Next weekend, you have Pavlovich taking on Curtis Blades, and then it's Cejudo against Aljamain Sterling. Somebody asked me here recently, like, how are the fights? Like, I haven't been watching. Are they good? Oh boy. Like, they have actually heated up. We'll be tough when we need to be tough, but they're really stacked here lately.
This is a great fight night card, too, to get you excited for some of those ones coming up.
Yeah, only a couple of debuts on this one, and the debuting fighters are Gaston Bolanos, Muay Thai Zone. Make sure you check out the keeping score that's in this series here on the YouTube channel. But you also have like that possible retirement fight between a couple of legends, Zak Cummings and Ed Herman, guys that fought with Strikeforce, with the Ultimate Fighter. Clay Guida, an original who's in the UFC's Hall of Fame. Kutsalava Bozer's a lot of fun, and Munhoz Gutierrez as well. So a lot to really look forward to that's on this card.
Max Holloway for 5 years was locked behind a $90 paywall. Like, he's that good of a fighter for a reason. He's
$90?
Well, just like Max Holloway, you can only watch on pay-per-view for the longest time. Like, he's not a free Saturday night kind of card type of a fighter. Like, Max Holloway is an all-time great. I fully expect him to be a Hall of Famer the second he retires. He's already done that much in his career. But this is an incredible main event and entire card we have waiting for us.
A big-time card at Fight Night Picks over on Instagram. Craig Allen at Matt Allen FNP as well. Make sure you check in here on Saturday, 2 hours before the prelims. Subject to change here. You can check out Question Mark Kicks offering up those final picks and predictions. 5 fighters on this card moving up and down in weight classes. That's really important, so make sure you check out that show on Saturday. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.